Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moya K, Swedish Whiskey Girl. Today I'm here with a whiskey that I'm really fascinated about, especially because I tried a whiskey just the other day that was finished in a similar cask. So this is the new Kilchoman Fino matured whiskey. It's, I think, their final limited release for the year, and it is a whiskey that has been bottled around 10,500 bottles, I think, from 11 first fill and 1 refill Fino cask from Bodega Miguel Martin, perhaps? Spanish names and words are not my forte to pronounce, but I hope that makes sense anyways, and it's bottled at 46% ABV. Oh, and before I forget, this whiskey sits approximately at £75 retail, I think. And of course, the other day I also reviewed the Kilchoman Fino. So it will be very interesting to see what the Fino cask will do to this spirit. Kilchoman do a lot of interesting things. They're using port, they're using STR, they're using wine, just all these kind of different ones. And obviously, their previous releases have had more of an influence of your kind of typical sherry cask like Oloroso. But Fino is a cask that isn't used by that many people yet, but it's a very fascinating one. It is of course a dry style of sherry that has been produced using fluor, which kind of prevents the oxidation and makes a really dry style of sherry. And yeah, it brings very special notes. I'm not yet there in drinking Fino neat, but I know a lot of people that also like whiskey drink Fino as it is, or maybe just cold with some ice in it. So I'm hoping my palate will maybe mature in the coming years, and I'll be one of those people one day, because I think the sherry industry is very fascinating, and I like being nerdy, so maybe sherry's next. But yeah, let's have a little look on the whiskey and see what we think. And before I say that, this from my understanding has been matured completely in those fresh sherry butts, the 12 sherry butts. And yeah, it's not a finish, it's a full maturation. It has this lovely Kilchoman smoke, which is quite floral and light. Not light in as it's quite subdued, it's very much a peated whiskey. But the smoke feels almost floral, slightly sweet floral and light and airy. Maybe a little bit ashy as well. But then it does have something else, which is almost like a white wine influence, or like a nuttiness and like a honeydew melon almost. The palette feels very kind of pearly, like a pearl sheen colour. If I had to say it was a colour, you know how much I like doing that, but I haven't done it in a while, so maybe I should just bring it back now. Yeah, like a pearly sheen. It has this kind of coastal element of being a little bit like a sea breeze with that ashy smoke, and then it does have a fruitiness. It feels very much like grapes or honeydew melon or something very juicy and quite watery, almost like cucumber. A very lovely nose. It's quite light, and I still think you can recognize the Kilchoman character because it has this clean character. It's almost, you can tell that it's slightly different, but also quite light, so it's almost difficult to pick out the aromas. So let's have a taste. Sláinte Skål. Very velvety mouthfeel. There's a smoke there, but on initial taste, there's not much else. I think that velvety feel almost makes the whiskey seem so soft that it's difficult to pick up anything else but the smoke. It does have a nuttiness and maybe a grape, like a white wine-esque flavour to it in the edges of the smoke, but I think this kind of pearly smoke is in the middle. It almost takes over a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice smoke, but if you're using Fino cask, I kind of want it to come out. I mean, if you like subtle flavours, this might be for you. Maybe it's just my palate struggling to pick up anything but the smoke today. I mean, the finish is really nice. It's that smoke, the slightly ashy, that combines with a flavour memory of like grapes or a dry white wine. Maybe a slight almond note. Yeah, it's just very... It's difficult to explain, but because the mouthfeel is so soft and gentle, I mean, the smoke's definitely there, but it just feels very, kind of just washes over you very softly, like a very kind breeze. You know, if you're outside and there's a breeze, but the breeze is so warm that it's almost the same as your body temperature, so you almost don't feel it. That's how I'm experiencing these flavours. And usually I tend to get them quite quickly because it's quite cold in our flat, so usually you either get the coldness as an element to your whiskey experience, which is why I tend to kind of warm them up, but this one just kind of almost feels like when you put a finger into a body temperature water, because you can barely feel it, but you kind of know the texture's there. But I mean, there are still flavours there. It's that smoke surrounded by these gentle flavours of grape, maybe a little bit honeydew melon, almondy nuttiness, that kind of also now coming out more together with the wood. A very soft bitterness, which makes the dram just feel more gentle. I mean, it is quite a smooth whiskey. If you like quite subtle flavours, you like a nice ashy light smoke, and you maybe like sitting with your whiskey and just kind of looking for things and watching it, like exploring it, watching it evolve. I mean, this is also out of a sample bottle, so it might be that it have been in there a little bit too much, or from an open bottle. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. From this experience, I would have just wished it had a little bit more of a kick, because I want just a little bit more from the cask if you're going to use a Fino cask. But maybe I'm just, I don't know, it's autumn and I just want a bit of a flavour experience. I think why a lot of people like sherried whiskies in autumn and winter, you just want a little bit of a kick of flavour because everything outside is so grey and a little bit dull, perhaps. Well, I need to retry it at some point from a bottle, perhaps. I mean, I love what Kilchoman's doing, and I think their story is great. I've had the pleasure of meeting two of the sons from the family, and they just tell the best stories. And yeah, it's definitely a distillery I'm very keen on, and I'll be doing another Kilchoman review very soon. I'd love to hear what your favourite Kilchoman is. Have you tried the Fino? What was your thoughts on it? Please put it in the comments here below. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels, I'd be absolutely over the moon if you consider using my affiliate links the next time you're shopping with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Whisky Society. As always, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing, and I'm so grateful you want to continue to support me on my whiskey journey. But I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Sláinte Skål! Skål!